There is something adorable about how Americans love to pretend they hate rich people. It is like a national hobby. Baseball, football, and complaining about billionaires on television while Googling how to become a billionaire in secret. You will hear someone say with deep moral conviction that no one should have that much money. Then 10 minutes later, they are taking a personality quiz titled, "What kind of rich person would you be?" Spoiler: always the benevolent billionaire philanthropist who pays everyone fair wages and installs solar panels on all orphanages. Never the guy buying his third yacht and calling it a business expense. Americans want to hate rich people, but they also want to be rich enough to escape being hated, which is honestly poetic. The whole thing starts young. In elementary school, the class learns that being rich is bad in a fairy tale sense. The villain lives in a castle, taxes the villagers, and eats swan eggs for breakfast. Teachers sprinkle moral dust over everyone, assuring that kindness matters more than money. Then they send the kids home with homework packets and a cheerful reminder to bring $20 for the field trip, $30 for the class shirt, and $50 for the fundraiser, because participation matters. Somewhere between the bake sale and the silent auction, the moral compass starts vibrating like a cheap compass on a pirate ship, trying to decide if having money is bad or if not having money is just embarrassing. Fast forward to adulthood, and the tension only gets juicier. In the United States, wealth functions like a religion you are not supposed to admit you practice. People claim they do not care about money, but they will sacrifice their sleep, their health, their marriage, and occasionally their lower spine to climb one more rung on the corporate ladder. They will say things like, "Money does not buy happiness," usually after seeing someone else use money to buy happiness extremely efficiently. Some guy just bought a lake house, a boat, and a dog named Theodore Maximus III, and suddenly the anti-materialist sermon feels underfunded. Work culture in the United States behaves like a satire even when no one is joking. You are expected to hustle, grind, innovate, collaborate, synergize, optimize, brainstorm, and power through until your soul resembles a used paper towel. Then the company posts an inspirational quote on the office wall about teamwork and vision, accompanied by a stock photo of strangers high-fiving. And everyone pretends that grinding for 20 hours a day is virtuous instead of tragic. It is a morality play that says, it is noble to suffer for money, but shameful to have too much of it. Unless you are the boss, in which case your yacht is called a reward for excellence. The selective morality about money shows up strongest when someone actually gets wealthy. That is when the American public does a synchronized backflip in logic. Suddenly, that person becomes suspicious, greedy, morally compromised, and probably part of a secret cabal that meets on Tuesdays. People claim anyone with serious wealth must be exploiting someone, but if that same person offers them a job that pays $10,000 a month, suddenly exploitation feels like a warm blanket. Americans love class warfare until there is a benefits package attached. And the best part? So much of the hating the rich genre operates on vibes, not data. Americans are known for being deeply skeptical of billionaires while simultaneously watching shows about billionaires for entertainment. Succession is a cultural phenomenon. The Wolf of Wall Street was a box office smash that inspired a generation to dream about illegal stock schemes and luxury yachts filled with questionable life choices. People will tweet about eating the rich on Thursday, then binge-watch documentaries about startup founders on Friday, and then spend Saturday calculating how much money they would need to retire by age 35. Spoiler: it is always more than I currently have, and less than a billionaire, as if there is a morally acceptable wealth sweet spot no one can define. Religion gets involved too, because of course it does. In the United States, God and money share custody of the national psyche. You can attend a Sunday service where the pastor warns against materialism right before reminding the congregation that God loves a generous giver, especially during the building renovation campaign. There is something deeply American about believing that wealth is both a moral hazard and a divine reward, depending on who is receiving it. If the rich guy is in your church, he is blessed. If he is on CNBC talking about tax loopholes, he is a villain. Moral clarity achieved. Americans also pretend to hate corporations until the corporations offer free shipping. Suddenly, integrity collapses like a folding chair at a family barbecue. People will swear that corporate greed is destroying the middle class, but they also want their packages delivered in 48 hours with no fees and a smile. They want small businesses to thrive as long as small businesses can match the convenience of multinational giants without charging an extra nickel. The consumer ethics here are chaotic at best and performance art at worst. Then there is the whole concept of the 1%, which became a national villain after the Great Recession of 2008. Everyone agreed that the 1% was hoarding wealth, manipulating markets, and stepping on the oxygen tubes of the working class. But quietly, a curious thing happened. Everyone wanted to join the 1%. Not in public, though. In public, you ask for higher minimum wages, cheaper health care, and affordable housing. In private, you ask Google how to build passive income streams and whether crypto is still a thing. It is not, but denial is free. Even political identity gets tangled in the moral gymnastics around money. On the left, being rich is suspicious unless you made your wealth through eco-friendly startups, documentaries, or morally approved technology. On the right, being rich is patriotic unless you inherited too much, in which case you are part of the coastal elite conspiracy. Every side hates the other side's rich people, but loves their own. It is tribalism, but with tax brackets. Americans truly believe that rich people should pay more taxes, but they also believe they personally should pay less taxes because they worked hard for their money. Everyone thinks taxes are a punishment meant for someone else. It is the moral equivalent of believing speeding tickets should be higher, but also that you specifically are a responsible driver who deserves a warning. If Americans ever discovered a tax loophole that lets you write off your emotional damage from the workplace, the entire country would be tax exempt. The irony gets richer once someone actually climbs the money ladder. It is funny how fast the moral compass spins when a person's bank account crosses an invisible threshold. Before success, the person is described as a hustler, a grinder, a dreamer, a visionary, a bootstrap pioneer, or some other motivational poster term. After success, the exact same person becomes an oligarch, an elitist, a capitalist vampire, or someone who definitely knows what happens at those secret gatherings in the Hamptons. It is like there is a point at which wealth stops being aspirational and becomes inherently suspicious. No one knows where that point is. It is not written in law. It just happens when enough commas appear in the account. This flip is clearest in the culture of celebrity millionaires. Americans adore celebrities, but only as long as they are relatable and struggling. Once they become too successful, the public demands apologies for having a chef, a personal assistant, or a closet that is larger than the average apartment. People will happily consume an entire season of reality television in which rich people solve problems like, "I scratched my yacht on a coral reef," or "My dog sitter quit, and now I must fly to Aspen alone," all while insisting they could do better if given the chance. It gets even funnier when people talk about class solidarity. Americans love the idea of the working class rising together, fists in the air, singing labor chants. But if you ask the working class what they actually want, most of them do not want a union. They want a franchise. They want passive income, rental properties, and the mythical land of money making money while you sleep. No one dreams of overthrowing capitalism. They dream of being on the winning team. Yet this moral dance around money is not purely hypocritical. It is deeply emotional. Money in the United States is tied to worth, dignity, survival, and identity. There is no safety net unless you count GoFundMe campaigns and prayers. Healthcare costs can turn a single broken arm into a lifetime of debt, and student loans have trapped whole generations in financial purgatory. When survival is transactional, morality becomes negotiable. People hate the rich because they resent the distance, but they want to be rich because distance feels like safety. Pretending otherwise is just theater. The United States teaches that success is a moral achievement, but does not clarify what kind of success is morally acceptable. If you become wealthy by winning the lottery, that is a miracle. If you become wealthy by selling a startup, that is innovation. If you become wealthy by real estate, that is savvy. If you become wealthy by exploiting labor, that is capitalism. And if you become wealthy by inheriting money, that is privilege unless it is your family, in which case it is legacy. Meanwhile, Americans have a bizarre relationship with philanthropy. Rich people donate a fraction of their wealth to charity, and the public insists they are doing too little. Then those same critics donate literally $0 to the same causes and feel morally superior because at least they are not hoarding wealth. It is like watching someone throw stones at a mansion from the porch of a house they secretly wish was a mansion. And to be fair, philanthropy is often just rebranding for tax optimization. But the spectacle of it all is too entertaining to complain about without participating. Corporations figured out long ago how to weaponize this selective morality. They roll out social justice campaigns, green initiatives, and values-based marketing to make consumers feel like buying shampoo is activism. You can now defend the planet by purchasing organic peanut butter, support human rights by wearing ethically sourced socks, or combat the patriarchy by drinking girl boss energy drinks. The moral calculus is absurd, but it sells. And capitalism loves nothing more than monetizing feelings. The political class takes this even further, turning wealth into both a weapon and a shield. Politicians love to condemn the ultra-rich while fundraising from them. They love to shame corporations while building policy around corporate donors. And the public watches like it is a spectator sport, choosing teams based on vibes instead of substance. The left accuses the right of serving the rich, the right accuses the left of serving the rich, and the rich serve themselves because that is what rich people do. It is not evil. It is just consistent. One of the funniest quirks in American culture is how morality about money shifts depending on context. If someone wins big at a casino, that is luck. If someone makes it in tech, that is genius. If someone becomes an influencer making millions reviewing makeup, that is cringe and must be stopped immediately. The outrage is not about inequality, it is about aesthetics. Americans are fine with wealth as long as it looks classy, intellectual, or noble. Flashy wealth must be mocked. Quiet wealth must be respected. And inherited wealth must be criticized but never rejected. But here is the kicker. Everyone thinks they would be the good kind of rich person. The benevolent millionaire, the ethical tycoon, the humble success story who keeps shopping at the same grocery store and tips their barista 20%. No one imagines themselves becoming the villain, screaming at employees, naming yachts after Latin phrases, and lobbying for lower taxes. Yet statistically, the minute anyone becomes rich, they start enjoying tax breaks like it is a spiritual calling. This is not a moral failing. It is human nature with a turbocharged marketing department. Even the language Americans use around money is coded. Poor people are described as irresponsible, bad with money, impulsive, or trapped by bad decisions. Rich people are described as strategic, bold, innovative, or taking big risks. If a poor person buys a luxury item, it is a waste. If a rich person buys a luxury item, it is an investment in personal brand. If a poor person uses credit cards, that is debt. If a rich person uses credit cards, that is points. It is the same act reframed by wealth. There is something delightfully chaotic about how Americans defend their relationship with money. They want capitalism without inequality, meritocracy without losers, entrepreneurship without exploitation, wealth without resentment, and generosity without sacrifice. They want to tax the rich more without raising their own taxes. They want universal health care without paying for universal health care. It is not hypocrisy. It is optimism taken hostage by math. Which brings us full circle to the original point. Americans do not hate rich people. They hate being excluded. They hate being left out of the game. They hate that someone else gets to bend the rules while they follow them. They hate that wealth feels like a secret club. full of people who pretend they worked for everything while conveniently skipping over the parts involving private tutors and trust funds. The resentment is not moral, it is competitive. Americans treat prosperity like a sport. If one person wins too hard, the audience boos. And yet, if tomorrow a random American won the lottery, inherited a fortune, or launched a startup that went public at absurd valuations, they would abandon anti-rich sentiment faster than you can say tax-efficient wealth transfer. They would buy the lake house, upgrade the car, fund the nephews, and start having opinions about estate planning. They would enter the moral gray zone not because they sold out, but because wealth reveals the truth. Almost everyone believes in capitalism when it finally works for them. So yes, everyone hates the rich until they become one. And at that moment, their stance on morality, inequality, taxes, and corporate greed transforms into the sweetest sound American capitalism has ever produced. Well, it is complicated.